very special day if you will look at the thumbnail. Today we took delivery of my wife's new car. This is a 2018 Audi Q5. Oh my god, that's 6,000. Oh my god. Hey everybody, this is Dan for Gaming on Cars. Now this is going to be my recap that I did of all the cars that I drove this year. We're going to talk about my top 10 favorite cars that I drove. I got Penny here as my assistant. Now what I'm going to do is just put a couple videos over here just of which car I'm talking about. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. Here's how my daughter's holiday went.
There, I don't know. Oh my gosh, bro.
He ate the cookies in his mouth!
It really is?
Yes, it is! I can almost off with it.
Really? So yeah, she had a good time. We had a good time seeing family. So we're going to talk about my 10 favorite cars that I drove this year. So let's get right into it. All right, so Penny left me anyway, but number 10 was the BMW Z4 that I drove. Now, I always wanted to drive this car when it came out. This was the turbo four-cylinder version. I love the black with the red interior. Here comes Penny. Anyway, but I love this car. It was a nice, fun little roadster to drive. Had fun with this, so that's number 10. Okay, my ninth favorite car that I drove this year was a C7 Corvette. This was a 2019. Corvettes are a classic car. It had the performance, the sound. I wasn't sure what to expect this car, if it would just sort of be like sort of tame. Didn't think it would just sort of blow me away with performance, but it was fun. Got to put it through its paces a little bit. I really like this car. This is probably the best American car that I drove this year. This is the Chevy Corvette, so that was number 9. Okay, number 8. My eighth favorite car I drove this year was a BMW X5. Now, I love this car because it was a twin turbo V8, brand new, fresh sheet metal, German design. It was a hoot to drive. It sounded great. The performance was pretty good. I love the blue color. I really enjoyed this one. They actually took this one off the showroom for me to review it. So, always thank you to Sun Motors BMW. So, that is number 8, the BMW X5. Okay, number 7. My seventh favorite car I drove this year was a 2019 Audi e-tron. Now this is cool. Now I don't know if you know, but the sales service manager of Audi lives right behind me. He's always been very gracious to me. I take my Audi there, but he just dropped it off in my driveway. This is a e-tron. This is Audi's first all-electric SUV. The styling was amazing. The interior quality and the cameras were just, first rate. This car was fast as hell. It was comfortable and refined, like every other Audi that's on sale today. So I really love this car. This is definitely one of my favorite electric cars that I drove this year. So that is number 7. Okay, number 6 was a Hyundai Palisade. This car really surprised me so much with the quality and the value that it had. It's a beautiful red, burgundy wine color. I love this car. It has so many thoughtful features for a family car. The quiet mode and then the speaker that you can hear your kids in the back. I love this car. It really surprised me with all the features that you could get for, let's say, under $50,000. It drove itself. All the other stuff is some interesting styling cues, but I think it'll still hold up over the years. So that was the Palisade. I really was surprised by this car a lot. And thank you to Logan and Olivia for helping me out for this one. You guys are rock stars. So that is number 6. Okay, now we're into the top 5. Now, my 5th favorite car I drove this year was the BMW X3M. Now, I only got to drive this around the parking lot of the BMW dealer, but it really made an impression on me. Like I said in the video, the idle sound that this car had as a turbo 6-cylinder engine was just the meanest idling car that I've ever heard, aside from the BMW M5, but that's a twin turbo V8. But the X3M finally got the full M treatment, the huge 21-inch wheels. Again, I love the black with the red leather, and the styling was great. The quad tips, huge wheels. This thing was a blast to drive. So I love this car. That was the BMW X3M, number 5. Okay, number four is the Tesla Model S 100, P100. What's to say about Tesla? You know, the styling is great. You know, the technology is unbelievable with the Sentry mode, and the autopilot, you know, capability. Also, this is probably the fastest car I drove. Number one was just right behind it, but just the all electric, you know, torque you get, it really had the biggest moment where my head was put back into my seat. Always wanted to get a chance to drive a Model S after I drove the Model 3. But yeah, this thing was impressive. So much technology crammed into the car. The car drives itself. The car will drive itself out of your own garage. So I love the quality, and it's, you know, it's a Tesla Model S. It was a great electric car. I may be getting my hands on a Porsche Taycan Turbo S in the next coming weeks. So that I'm like so excited for that. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, number four this year of my favorite cars is the Tesla Model S. Okay, now the top three. My third favorite car I drove this year is right over there, a couple houses away. It was a Honda S2000. This is definitely the best driver's car that I drove. This is a four-cylinder turbo, but the thing revs all the way up to 9,000. And when you get above like 6,000 RPMs, they say it was like an angry swarm of bees, which it was so, that is the most perfect description for, you know, how an engine behaves I've ever, you know, heard of. This car was just glorious on every level. Just a small, you know, classically designed car from a different era, but you could, you know, rev the balls off of it, and it was just so sweet to drive. I would honestly consider buying one of these as like a second car if I ever had a Mini Cooper and was done with that. But anyway, the S2000 was really a special car, and that is my third favorite car I drove this year. All right, my second favorite car I drove this year is sitting right over here about 10 feet. It is in my garage. It is my 2018 Audi Q5. My wife and I saved up hard for this car. She always wanted an Audi. I've always been a fan of German cars. It's kind of funny how I sort of seems like I prefer BMWs, but just this car, I liked it better than an X3, simply put. It is just so smooth and so refined, and now I messed up. I have to get her an Audi every time that she goes to buy a car. But anyway, what better, you know, endorsement can I say that I spent my hard-earned money on this car? It's been a great car for my family. We've had it for about 8 months now, and we've loved every second. So that is my second favorite car I drove this year. My current wife's car. It's the Audi Q5. Now, number one, if there was any doubt, if you were a sort of loose follower of this channel, was absolutely the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now, I was surprised that I even got a chance to get behind the wheel of this car. I was doing a review of the normal Giulia. I say normal, but this car has everything going for it. And oddly enough, I think when I did my recap of last year of 2018, my favorite car was the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. So Alfa Romeo is in the number one spot for 2 years in a row. But so this car has 505 horsepower, you know, carbon ceramic brakes, carbon fiber everywhere, 8-speed ZF, you know, red start button on the steering wheel. I loved everything about it. Plus the value of this car is $55,000 with only 2,000 miles. You know, it used to be $90,000. So this is another car I would buy in a heartbeat if I could afford it. I'd have to save up for warranty bills and stuff, but this car just had the Italian flair, like I mentioned in the video, and I just loved every second of it. The sound was absolutely amazing. Everything about this car was glorious. So that is my favorite car I drove this year. So this was the top 10 cars I drove this year. I look forward to making lots of more quality car reviews in 2020. And if you're a subscriber of this channel from the start, or if you're just new, thank you for subscribing. Hit that button if you haven't already. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at GammyDonCars, and I look forward to seeing you next year. Here's to happy 2020. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.